नमस्ते गणपतये ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। त्वं ब्रह्मा त्वं विष्णुः त्वं ब्रह्मा त्वं विष्णुः त्वं रुद्रस्त्वं अग्निः त्वं वायुः त्वं सूर्यः त्वं वायुः त्वं सूर्यः त्वं चन्द्रमास्त्वं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवः स्वरो त्वं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवः स्वरो त्वं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवः स्वरो।
After having invoked the blessings of God Almighty in adherence to Indian tradition, I pay my humble respects to all of you present here and to all the viewers. I'm here to talk to you about something that is very dear to me, Indian classical dance, and its role in preserving the cultural roots. The first question that comes to mind is, what is culture? To me, culture is everything. Culture is the language you speak, the clothes you wear, the music you listen to, the food you eat, your favorite hobbies, your pastime, everything. In the socio-cultural labyrinth that we live in today, these references, these preferences have become very important. The increased significance given to labels, be it to deny them or to own them, is causing a mental, emotional chaos and confusion that is getting difficult to handle, right? So what is needed then, I think, is a sense of being rooted, is a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership. So if I were to label myself, it would be proud Indian, classical dancer, choreographer, woman, daughter, wife, music enthusiast. I mean, you could add your political inclinations or your religion or whatever you wanted. So all of this together forms culture. Indian culture especially, I think, is with two C's. The capital C, denoting the art history or the tangible and intangible heritage. So from the Taj Mahal to the Verul Temple, from Sufi Sangeet to Launi, from Mahabharat to Midnight's Children. And the small c, denoting our way of life. So if touching the feet of elders for respect is Indian, then celebrating Christmas is also Indian. If getting adorned with sparkling jewelry is Indian, then wearing nothing but a loincloth is also Indian. So these divergent manifestations of culture come together. And I think if there is one thing, one of the things probably that melds these two diverse manifestations beautifully, it's Indian classical dance. So there are 9 Indian classical dance styles: Kathak, Bharatnatyam, Kathakali, then Kuchipudi, Odissi, Mohiniyattam, and Manipuri, Chhau, and Satriya. 9 styles, each with their distinct characteristic, distinct aesthetic, distinct costumes, music, etc. And yet, each has shared a similar graph in its origin, in its development, progression, degradation, and renovation. So since I'm here, since I'm a Kathak dancer, I will talk to you about Kathak. So Kathak first originated in the temples. Mind you, the era that I'm talking about is 2nd century BC, so more than 2,000-3,000 years ago. So it originated in the temples as a form of storytelling. Katha Kahe, so Kathak Kehlaye. The storyteller was called Kathak, not the form. So dance was done in the temple precincts in a small space, addressing the god, bhakti, devotion as the main emotion. Then dance moved to the courts, Hindu and Mughal alike. And here, with the opulence and the zeal of the kings, the form expanded. There were Raj Nartaks and conquests and farmaishes and whatnot. But as all good things must end, so did this golden era. And dance was forced into dereliction with the advent of the British. And they termed us as the Nach girls. Yes, dance was forced into prostitution too at this time, but nevertheless, it was preserved in the kothas. And then on, after independence, the chapter changed, and since then, thanks to many government efforts and individual dancers, dance today is flourishing beyond imagination and is performed with all the fanfare, fancy lights, multimedia presentations, dazzling costumes, all of it. The beauty, I think, is that from 2nd century BC to today, 2023, Kathak has retained elements from all these stages. So for example, in a Kathak presentation in the repertory, we first begin our performance with a Vandana, an invocation to God, like I just did. So this is thanks to the Mandir Parampara. The second, the thing that follows in the presentation is the Nritta or the Tal presentation, which is abstract or pure dance. So there is a great dynamism that you see. For example, Kathak has speed. Kathak has lyricism. Kathak has footwork. Kathak has spins. So you see, there is a dynamism, there is a balance of virtuosity and lyricism in the form. All this is courtesy the Darbar era and the post-independence period. We now come to the next step in a presentation, which is the emotive aspect called as bhav or abhinay. Now here, normally stories of the gods and goddesses or mythological tales are told. Like the picture that you see here is from the famous story of Gopi Vastraharan, where Krishna, Lord Krishna, steals the clothes of the gopis. Now, of course, this has a highly philosophical significance too, but as you see, so how is this abhinay done? It is done through facial expressions, mudras or hand gestures, and body language. So if I talk about facial expressions, Mukhaj Abhinay, we have Shringar or love. We have Bhay, fear. We have anger. We have Adbhut. We have disgust. So we have the Navarasas actually. There is a deep science given. There is a deep science behind how things are emoted. And we have the mudras. Okay, so let's do I'll do something because mudras is the language, and I want you to guess it. Let's see if you can do this or if I can do it well. So what is this if I'm doing this? Excellent. What is? Excellent. What is this? Excellent. And what is this? Since I'm in an engineering college. Writing, exactly, studying. And no other dance style in the world has mudras and facial expressions as Indian classical dance. So this is truly special about our culture. Now, through these mythological stories, the primary function that dance does is to transmit the stories as they are, from one person to the other, from me to you, from one generation to the next. Now, when I was a child, this function was done by grannies at bedtime. Telling us stories of Krishna and this and that, sometimes even Cinderella. But I think with nuclear families, this practice is evaporating. So dance, classical dance, fills this void of telling the mythological stories. Now you might wonder, what's the big deal if these stories are not told? So what? No, it is a big deal because these stories, mythology, is our collective conscience. Mythology is our traditional wisdom and traditional wealth. Our knowledge of Ayurveda, astronomy, astrology, warfare, everything is packaged through mythology. Here, I would like to make a very nice comment, which many of you might be surprised to hear, but the comment is that tradition is progressive. Tradition is ever flowing. Tradition expands, unlike popular belief. And that is why that Indian culture is a culmination, is a consolidation of socio-religious influences that have traveled over centuries. So Kathak is a gift of the Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. Now in Kathak we have, as you can see, we have the flowing anarkali costume like I'm wearing, thanks to the Persians. And we also have the colorful ghagra choli, thanks to the Rajput tradition. We also have the flute and the bansuri and the sitar, but we also have the tabla. Now all of you know the tabla, right? 2 drums. But did you know that first it was just one instrument, and they say that do bhag kiye tab bola, isliye tabla. So when the Persians came, they changed the instrument, and now thanks to them we have the tabla. In classical dance, we also do bhajans and shloks, but we also do ghazals and thumris. So dancing Kathak, for me, is a reminder, a constant reminder, that my Indianness stems from a syncretic fusion of cultures. Moving on, I think there are aspects of culture too that show themselves in Indian classical dance. For example, we have the concept of pathan, chanting is a very integral aspect in any culture. So what is chanting basically? I think it's the creation of positivity, of positive vibrations through sound variations. So that same thought is picked in classical dance, and we have something which we call padhant or narration. So you can just clap with me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Dha dilang, tha dha, tak dilang, tha dha, tak dik dilang, tak dilang, tha dha, tak nagadit the da dilang, tha dha, tak dilang, tha dha, tak dik dilang, tak dilang, tha dha, tak nagadit the da dilang, tha dha, tak dilang, tha dha, tak dik dilang, tak dilang, tha dha, tak nagadit the. So, thank you. So you see, this is nothing but sound waves and the impact that sound can have. So, like this is one example. The other example would be, if you notice, Bharatanatyam costumes are very colorful. I think this is because the temples in South India are very colorful too. Architecture directly affecting the taste of colors and costumes. Similarly, if you see the costumes in Lucknow or in the north of India, are very in subdued tones and free-flowing, much like their architecture, which is in marble. So that is how I think culture and dance, they have an interplay going on constantly. One very important aspect of Indian tradition is the Guru Shishya Parampara, where our life was divided into 4 stages. The first being Brahmacharyashram, where you were expected to go to your guru's place and study and learn. Today, of course, we don't go to our guru's place and live with that guru, but the intensity of the relationship is still there. The intensity with which you invest in another person, with which the student submits to you, is beautiful, it's sublime. The student's failure is your failure. And I'm lucky to have a guru like this above me. And I truly hope that I can carry forward the tradition when I grow older. So, but all of this, comes at a much later stage when you have studied dance for a number of years. But right from the moment you enter your dance class, first thing you do is you pray. You touch the feet of your guru in reverence. Then you take your ghungroos, you touch them to your head as a mark of respect. Then you tie them. Then you fasten your dupatta. Then you have your hair in place. And then you start dancing. What is happening is qualities of reverence, qualities of obedience, qualities of, in a way, submission are being incepted from the very early stages without you even realizing it. I think dance is very philosophical in many ways. For example, there is like I was saying when I was talking about the fusion of cultures too, there is an openness, there is a malleability about us that is very unique and very special. So this open-endedness is instilled in you without even you knowing it or realizing it. So for instance, we have a time cycle. So it's like a groove, okay, of a certain number of beats. Let's take a groove of 4. Okay, now the first beat is the sum. So with me, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Clap on 1, clicks on the 1, 3, 4, and 1. How I approach the 1 is important. 1 is home. 1 is the starting point and the ending point. I have to highlight the 1, 2, 3, and 1. Thank you. So you see the dance lies, the freedom lies in approaching different ways to showcase that 1. So this open-endedness, this freedom is what you are taught to live with in spite of having the so-called boundaries of tradition. So to conclude, I would say that Indian classical dance is one of the most beautiful things that you can ever be acquainted with. It gives you hope, it gives you love, it gives you joy. And I think no other form exercises the mind, body, and soul simultaneously as does Indian classical dance. Indian classical dance is stylization. Stylization is nothing but romanticism of movement. This romanticism, I'm sure, will help you stay sane, help you stay empathetic in a hasty and cynical world of today. Thank you.